Hey guys, Drifter here. Welcome to Black Ops 2 In-Depth. In today's episode, we're going to be talking about the Peacekeeper SMG. This is the new weapon that you get with the Revolution Map Pack downloadable content bundle with zombies and new maps and all that. If for the first time ever Call of Duty has a downloadable content weapon, I got up very early this morning or late last night, depending on your frame of reference. Technically didn't really go to bed at all, and I have been reviewing this weapon. I've been testing a lot of stuff to get you the best stats and give you the best review as fast as possible. Without wasting any more of your time, let's talk about damage. The Peacekeeper SMG is a low damage submachine gun, dealing 33 damage in close quarters combat, but dropping off to 18 damage at a distance. What this means for you is that it will take between 4 and 6 shots to kill, depending on how far away you are from the enemy. It does have an intermediate damage between that 33 and 18. Between 35 meters and 63 meters, it'll deal 22 damage. For those of you that are familiar with the In-Depth series, you're going to be looking at those numbers and say, 35 meters and 63 meters? That's kind of long for a submachine gun, don't you think? And yes, it is actually. This is the longest range submachine gun in the game. The MSMC used to have the longest range. This one kind of clomps the MSMC in range. It is a very, very long range submachine gun. It has a better range profile than a lot of assault rifles in this game. It has extreme range. Do not underestimate the range of this submachine gun. The damage might not be that amazing in close quarters combat, but the range is something impressive. Some other variables that you're going to want to know about range is that if you add the long barrel attachment, you're adding plus 15% range, and silencer is negative 30% range. Interestingly enough, the Peacekeeper, like the Scorpion and M8A1, does not have a headshot multiplier. Normally in Call of Duty games you get extra damage for shooting somebody in the head. In the case of the Peacekeeper, you get no bonus damage for headshots, just a basic 1x or 100% of normal damage. This means that headshots are useless at all ranges. Do not go for headshots unless you're just trying to get your camouflages and your challenges and all that sort of stuff. Shooting somebody in the head will not cause you to kill them any quicker. When it comes to rate of fire, we need to talk about its normal rate of fire, rapid fire, and select fire. So I'm going to be talking about RPM for a minute. Its base rounds per minute is 700, shooting at 700 rounds per minute. This is the slowest firing submachine gun, but it's barely the slowest firing submachine gun. The PDW and MSMC both fire at 720 RPM. This one fires at 700 RPM, so it's very slightly slower than those two. Its recoil in its normal base firing mode is actually very low. Well, maybe not very low, I'm going to classify it as regular low, and it's mostly vertical. When it does kick, it kicks straight up. There's a little side-to-side wobble to it. It is a submachine gun, but it's very low recoil, very easy to control. I think it's the lowest recoil submachine gun. When you use the select fire attachment, your rate of fire doesn't change at all. It remains at 700 RPM. That's not true for most guns in this game, but this one stays at 700 RPM and it swaps over to 3-shot burst. It's not 2 and not 4. Some guns have funny ones. This one's just a basic 3-shot burst mode, and it has no burst delay. A lot of the weapons in this game, especially the ones that are naturally burst fire weapons, have a very small burst delay. If you think back to the previous COD, Modern Warfare 3, the M16, you couldn't quite fire it full auto. This one, if you've got the trigger finger good enough, you can shoot it at the full auto 700 RPM. The select fire recoil is the same recoil as before. It doesn't seem to have been changed, but because it's select fire and you won't be shooting it as fast, it's just very low, easy to control, no problems whatsoever. Select fire does not alter range. On some of the other guns in this game, select fire would reduce your range or something like that. The select fire attachment on the Peacekeeper does not change your range at all, but when it comes to rapid fire, that's a whole new can of worms. When you put rapid fire on the Peacekeeper, it fires at 900 RPM. This is a slightly higher than average gain for rapid fire. It's again fully automatic mode, nothing funny about that. If you decide to stack select fire and rapid fire, you just get 3-shot burst at 900 RPM. Nothing funny about it, but rapid fire 900 RPM, this makes it shoot very fast. That'll put it on par with the Vector and the MP7 as far as rate of fire is concerned. However, with rapid fire you have moderate recoil. It's not low recoil anymore, it's more normal recoil for submachine guns. It's still fairly easy to control. I liken it to having the same recoil as the MP7, but without the rapid fire attachment. The big downside to rapid fire is that you lose 60% range. When you put the rapid fire attachment on your weapon, you get negative 60% range. This, along with the recoil increase, turns most people away from the rapid fire attachment. However, since the Peacekeeper has excellent range and very low recoil recoil already. Rapid fire is not a bad attachment for this weapon, though I don't necessarily think it's useful. When you put rapid fire on the Peacekeeper, it performs very similarly to the MP7 with no attachments, so it makes me wonder why you wouldn't just use the MP7 with no attachments, since they're performance-wise about the same. Like the other submachine guns, it has a good hip fire. I wouldn't recommend hip firing as much, just because this is not a good close-range weapon. We're going to talk about that more in a second. But the hip fire is statistically, numerically good like the rest of the submachine guns. It's accurate hip fire, maybe not necessarily effective because of the low close-range damage. Speaking of which, we need to talk about times to kill for this weapon, and it's kind of a funny one when it comes to time to kill. It's a little on the slow side. It shoots a little slower than the submachine guns. It does less damage than some of the other submachine guns, so your close range time to kill is actually very, very low. It is the slowest killing submachine gun when it comes to close range face-to-face combat, and you can't even speed it up with headshots because you don't get any extra damage. So this is the worst submachine gun in the game for close quarters. However, it is the best submachine gun in the game for long ranges, and it's better than some of the assault rifles at medium range, and it's better than maybe a few of them at long ranges. So when you start moving out more to medium range and definitely longer range, your time to kill gets faster and faster and becomes more competitive and becomes a much better thing. And when you factor in accuracy, your time to kill is quite good again. So when it comes to time to kill, terrible at close range, very good at long range. The iron sights are pretty good too. I use a lot of these submachine gun iron sights. I like most of them. I don't really like the Vector or the Scorpion or Chicom all that much, but all the rest of them I'm very comfortable with. These probably have the best iron sights next to the MP7. The MP7 has beautiful, flawless, perfect iron sights. These are my second favorite iron sights. They're very clear, they're easy to aim with, not particularly obstructive. Optics aren't really needed, although the red dot sight did make me feel like I was aiming better. It's a little cleaner, a little nicer. The EOTech I thought would be the ideal sight for this weapon because it's longer range, but it didn't really suit me. The iron sights were just kind of better. I measured the time that it takes to aim down sights and let go and unaim down sights on this submachine gun. It's actually a little bit slower than the other submachine guns. It's 0.24 seconds by my measurements. The other submachine guns are 0.22 seconds and the assault rifles are 0.25 seconds, so it fits nicely in between the two. Reload time on the Peacekeeper is normal for the submachine gun class, 1.96 seconds to go through the whole animation, 1.42 if you reload cancel. Nothing particularly special about that. Doesn't reload fast or slow, just normal. Magazine count is a little bit on the low side for submachine guns. A lot of the SMGs and Black Ops 2 have very high magazine counts. This one just has 30, extended mags has 40. You'll probably be reloading it a lot because at long ranges you might be missing some of your shots. So fast mags, extended mags, not a bad option at all on this weapon. I kind of prefer fast mags. Extended mags there's nothing wrong with. At the very end of this episode, I'm not going to be recommending you a class or a setup because judging from my hours, literal, hours of experience with this weapon, I don't feel that it's appropriate that I tell you how you should be using it. I liked it with a silencer and a red dot sight. Silencer laser is okay. Didn't like the EOTech. Didn't like it unsilenced. Didn't like it rapid fire. But what I can tell you is that this is best used at medium and long ranges. This is a very uncompetitive submachine gun in close quarters combat. You don't want to get close to people with this weapon. You can. It's better hip firing than some of the assault rifles, but it just doesn't kill very quickly. In medium to long ranges, this is a very, very effective weapon. So I think this is better for high skill players to use. If you like setting up, if you like playing very objectively, if you like kind of controlling engagements, this is not your run and gun, rush in and spray submachine gun at all. This is more like the long range tactical submachine gun. If you like those kind of SMGs or like those kind of weapons, you'll like the Peacekeeper. If not, then, well, not. Oh, almost forgot something. Don't forget to say thank you to J-Hub, who got up very early this morning and forewent his time playing this game in order to help me test things out. I'll put his channel down there in the description. He does mostly high-scoring gameplay, that sort of stuff. I'd appreciate it if you'd stop by and say thank you. Well guys, that's all for this episode of In Depth. I hope that you enjoyed it, and I hope that you learned something useful. If you'd like to check out my previous episode, which was on the SWAT 556, you can click the box on the left. It'll open in a new window. If you'd like to check out my next episode, which is going to be on the Type 25, you can click that box whenever it's live and it'll open. As always, if you enjoy the content, don't forget to like, favorite, and subscribe. Drifter out.